Welcome back. I'm Pratap Singh. You're joining us on NewsX. Flying by the moon, witnessing an eclipse and traveling further from Earth than any humans have before. The 4 astronauts of NASA's Artemis II mission have hit many milestones since launching from the Kennedy Space Center nearly 10 days ago. The crew's Orion space capsule is scheduled to enter the atmosphere at 7:53 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just southeast of Hawaii. About 13 minutes later, it should splash down in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego. To make it there, the spacecraft will first have to punch through the Earth's atmosphere at about 25,000 miles per hour and experience temperatures upwards of 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. As mission pilot Victor Glover put it, it's like riding a fireball through the atmosphere. The Artemis II crew, NASA's Reed Wiseman, Glover and Christine Koch, along with Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen, have been preparing for the return home for the past few days, which includes packing up equipment and reorienting the spacecraft for an ideal trajectory that will land them safely in the Pacific at 8:07 p.m. Eastern Time. On return day, the crew will wake up at 11:35 a.m. and begin reconfiguring the Orion Capsule for re-entry. They will make an additional course correction to fine-tune the return trajectory at 2:53 p.m. Before entering the atmosphere, the spacecraft will need to ditch the service module, which housed thrusters, solar panels and other space flight hardware for the mission. Orion will separate from the service module at 7:33 p.m., which will then fall back to Earth, burning up in the atmosphere. The spacecraft is set to begin its 13-minute plunge through the atmosphere at 7:53 p.m. During that time, it's expected that the crew will lose communication with mission control for about 6 minutes. As the capsule makes its return, it will deploy a series of parachutes that will slow it down from about 25,000 miles per hour to just 20 miles per hour upon splashdown. The USS John P. Murtha is stationed near the splashdown zone and will help recover the crew. A team will head out to the floating capsule and install an inflatable raft just below Orion's side hatch. The crew will be examined by a flight surgeon, then helped out of the capsule from the transport ship. They will hitch a ride back to Johnson Space Center in Houston. To get back, the capsule must hit the atmosphere at a precise angle. All eyes will be on the heat shield. This is the piece of hardware beneath the capsule that protects the crew from the extreme temperatures during re-entry. NASA tested it out on Artemis I, the previous uncrewed mission, and found that the heat shield wasn't performing as designed. NASA mission planners and the Artemis II team worked on a way to mitigate that risk. Instead of skipping through the atmosphere like Artemis I, this mission would hit the atmosphere steeper and faster, limiting the time the spacecraft spends in those fiery, energetic moments of re-entry. Artemis II returned humans to the moon for the first time since the Apollo program over 50 years ago. And while some astronauts back then did see the far side of the moon, Artemis II crew was able to observe it from a vantage point never seen before by humans. Their images and geological notes will help better determine what the moon is made of and where it came from. The Orion capsule will return to NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida after the mission, where engineers will examine the spacecraft after its flight, including a closer look at the spacecraft's plumbing. The team will be picking apart the spacecraft to see how it performed and make any necessary changes ahead of the next mission. Artemis III is set to launch next year. The re-entry will be the last challenge the crew will have to endure on their epic 10-day mission. It comes with many dangers, but their spacecraft is equipped with an array of technology to keep them safe. Aditya Vadavan joins us for more on this story. Aditya, take us through the preparations that are already underway before Artemis II's return to Earth and splashdown.
Well, absolutely. The 4 astronauts on board the Orion spacecraft have completed their mission around the moon and are expected to splash down off the coast of San Diego at 27 Eastern U.S. time on Friday. And definitely, the splashdown sequence, beginning with the separation of the European service module, takes roughly 42 minutes to complete. The re-entry and subsequent splashdown are considered the most dangerous part of the Artemis II mission, with the Orion capsule enduring temperatures of nearly 2,760 Celsius, about half as hot as the sun. So completely, it's a major thing that it's a major achievement for this crew. Definitely, we could expect a celebrate, when this crew further, finally lands to the Earth. And definitely, if you see, the Artemis II crew, mission specialist Christina Koch, mission specialist Jeremy Hansen, Commander Reed Wiseman, and pilot Victor Glover take time out for a group hug inside.
Right. In fact, PK Ghosh is also with us now live, space scientist. PK Ghosh, welcome to the broadcast. How challenging is this re-entry going to be? This is the last big hurdle, big obstacle that the crew must endure before coming down to planet Earth. How complicated is this re-entry going to be, and how do you react to the kind of provisions that NASA have put in place on this spacecraft, which are different to Artemis I?
Absolutely. This is going to be the main challenge. In fact, the re-entry one, entire procedure of about 42 minutes is going to be the most challenging, and also, if I may put it, as the most dangerous one. Because we must remember that in Artemis I, the heat shield gave way because of the gases inside. They expanded, so the coat, that is the name of the heat shield. It's made of titanium composite, about 1.5 inch thick. That gave way. So they decided to adopt a new technique altogether, in which they decided to do away with the skip return trajectory. And they are now coming in with a sharper angle, and they will go straight in, and the 100 kilometers or so, the last ones, are going to be very important, because when they touch the Earth's atmosphere, there is friction, and it is like going to be enveloped in a hot plasma, as you were rightly saying. It's more than 2,000, some 860 degrees or so. So you can imagine there is no communication, there is nothing. You are hurling through the space, and a series of parachutes are opening one by one. And of course, there is a redundancy factor. If you want, I can go through at what all
Yes.
heights they were. I think at 75 miles, when it is nearly about 24,000 miles per hour, then is the time when the things are really going to get hot. And firstly, we will have the three parachutes opening at 26,500 feet. Then we will have at 25,000 feet 2 large drones
Yes.
parachutes, and of course
Absolutely. So all of this, of course, put in place, and all eyes on that splashdown. We'll be keeping an eye on that. For the time being, PK Ghosh, thank you for joining us. Now, the lives of millions of people across West Asia and the fate of the global economy will hinge on